copyright. So, all right. So now we're streaming live on YouTube and we're here on X every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern. This is the DNX Show with me. My name's Todd Ryan and my co-host Josh Reason. We do this every Thursday. How's everything going today, Josh? What's up?
So it's good, man. Yeah, just trying to get some work done. Yesterday was a slow day for me. I came down with some sort of stomach bug, which wasn't too fun. It happens a lot in my house because I got three young kids. But yeah, other than that, all good.
Yeah, we got a ton of things to cover today, and hopefully we have a few guests too show up. We'll both try to get Siger up here today just so we can throw him down again. Anyway, there's always problems here on X, people joining the stage. So if you are trying to join the stage sometime, say this week, next week, it doesn't matter, raise your hand. Then we'll know for some reason if you're not coming up because it always seems like, you know, plenty of folks can make it up. We had plenty that made it last week, but anyway, make it or put a comment in there. First order of business, yeah, is well, yeah. So it's 10:02 today. I'm like, well, fuck, this is already late. It's 10:02. So then it's 10:04, and I'm like, fuck it, fuck that book. I threw that across the room. So I'm like, well, fucking, Josh, I'm allowed 3 texts per week. I'm only at one right now. I save them like challenges in the motherfucking NBA. Yeah, there is a good game on tonight. So, I text him, it's showtime. You know me, it's showtime. It's like a news. I was telling David Michaels in the Domain Name Law Room, we've been doing it over 4 years there. He comes in like 1 minute, 30 seconds late. I can't say that. David, because I owe him a lot. He's been there since day one. But to me, it's like doing a news show, Domain Name Law. Well, fuck. Could you imagine the newscaster coming? Hey, are we starting? Yeah, but you should already be mic'd up. We're supposed to be sitting here. Of course, that's how I am. But anyway, so yeah, for those that were, waiting around, it was certainly on Josh. But then, Josh, I know you got 3 kids. I'm like, fuck me. I'm fucking living it up. I just had a party this morning with a bunch of strippers. Just kidding. I'm married, but I'm having a good time. Everything's all set. My coffee's warm. I realize you got, a family, and I'm thinking, geez, I hope it's, something smooth. But anyway, so everybody, your kids aren't in school yet, right? One of them is, but what's the story? I mean, what are their ages? I need to know.
Yeah, 6, 5, and 1.5. So the 5-year-old's about to go into kindergarten. The first 6-year-old is going into first grade. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
all good.
So no, okay, so you had a bellyache yesterday. So did my Maxine. My dog turned 6 yesterday, and I get up in the morning and he's looking in the sky like, oh, and his eyes are glazed, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And he just ate too much I guess the night before or something. Can't remember. It was the night yesterday. I guess he was mostly okay, but he's 6 too. So yeah, we both have 6-year olds. I got a 20-year-old too with my horse. All right, Josh. There's a ton of things I wanted to go over today. I mean, about domain investing. And then I'm going to start inviting a few people up just to see if it works. And if you come up, you don't have to say anything anyway. But we definitely want to have an open conversation. The very first thing, Josh, you said you're bearish a little bit on domains or outside of the premium.com and premium.ai. I went bearish and I was like way too early. It's like being bearish on the stock market and all it's done is go up. So I just believe it's way overvalued. But with domains, a couple years ago felt a little bearish. People were throwing tomatoes at me. You say it, they probably like you, which I can't understand because when they meet you in person, they'll see you're British.
just just grumpy.
Yeah, and then I'm like, why is it okay with him? But anyway, you say you're bearish. Why is that? What's the feeling?
I just feel like everything there's so many options, so it's getting really dilutive, and like to get a really good price for your name, I feel like it either has to be a premium.com or a premium.ai. It doesn't mean that I'm like just like bearish on domains. I mean I'm still bullish on domains, but I'm just like I'm I'm seeing, and we're in a bit of an echo chamber, right? But I'm seeing so much success on the premium.com side and the premium.ai side. Um, and you know, I think that like stuff like, I don't know, higher end .ios or .cos are struggling um, because of, you know, a large quantity of alternative extensions that are being adopted. And then, um, having said that, I do think that, like, your sub 5K .coms that you can purchase cheap, they're still doing pretty well. If you know how to pick them, I think that that's a really profitable category to be in. But in terms of getting big numbers for domains, I do feel like you need to be in the premium side of .com or premium.ai at the moment.
I was saying the same thing. I mean, a couple of years ago that I was like, geez, and I mean, and I still feel that way that one, you said it, so many alternatives. If I was, I think anybody smart that's going into business and needs a domain name can find a bunch of good stuff for definitely in the aftermarket under 5 grand, even under 1,000. But I think you could just register. So that was a challenge I wanted us to do, sort of a I forget the word I was thinking, an exercise. Sometimes somebody comes up and says, I'm starting this type of business. They used to do it on Clubhouse. They had like this, uh, who can register the best name for a business, and everybody voted on it and said, yeah, So if someone says, I'm starting this business and it's called, you know, Bloom Automotive. I'm going to bring up Bloom because you mentioned that in a tweet earlier. But so someone's like, all right, if that's the name, Bloom Automotive Repair, well, now we can go out there and try to find a name for this company. And they tell us where they're at a little bit, how long they've been in business, anything, because it may be a family business or so on. I can help somebody find a fucking .com that we can register, and it might be B Bloom BAR something like 5 letters that begin with BAR to say Bloom Automotive Repair. My point is, yes, Josh, there's a lot of options out there, and then when you go outside of .com, then you can start getting your exact match of stuff. And then, of course, not every business that I was the other day. Yeah, it was a Clark pest.com. My wife and I were driving, and I'm like, see, right there. I said, it's not like they need pest.com. Now, if it's a national company and they're the biggest and they need pest, but Clark Pest, fucking 2 syllables, fucking, I don't know, 9 letters, uh, easy to remember. You can't misspell Clark, but that's the name of their company. So they weren't in, they're not like, we didn't get pested, but a domainer will tell you, oh, well, you're screwed, buddy. You got the wrong. No. So I believe, with the alternatives, and especially now with the other extensions, but even if we were still limited to .com, it would be a weird world if we were still, where there was only .com. Then we'd really see, almost everything gone. But because of the other extensions, it's really loosened up, the .com. But so the .ai, when you're investing in .ai, what are things that you consider? Because I'm finding some great stuff there, but you just can't even. I don't even think every, obviously single words aren't all equal, but when you're investing in these alternate extensions, what are the main things that you consider, you look at?
Um, I mean, one of the obvious ones, I guess, is outside of like the standard metrics that we look at that I've talked about a few times and we can go over again, but is whether or not the keyword or the SLD matches up well with with the TLD and the extension. And obviously in this case, we know that AI is stands for artificial intelligence, and so the best SLDs or keywords are going to be the ones that you think pair well with that industry. Now, obviously, AI has become so broad and spans across practically everything that now we're seeing names, all kinds of names, sell in the .ai extension. It's literally, I think I saw like chiropractor.ai or something sell for 20 something grand recently. So I mean, there is honestly there's almost no limit at this point, which is why AI names just seem to be on the up and up. But yeah, I mean, like, what do I like to do? And listen, like, I typically want to get .ai names that are registered in. Ideally, I look for 100 plus other TLDs. At this point, you know, .ai is doing so well that you could probably broaden that search to 50 plus, because uh there's probably quite a lot of .ai names that are registered in less extensions that are still valuable, um, simply because .ai demand has gone up so much. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm looking at similar kind of metrics than what I would look at in other alternative TLDs, whether it be .io or .co, and that's, simply brand usage. Is it a popular brand to use? How many other companies have that name? Uh, are there lots of trademarks out there for uh, a brand, for that brand name? Um, anything that really determines uh, that keyword is used in either commerce or culture.
Yeah, anybody that I'm going to get back to the bearish comment because anybody want to make a comment if they feel the bearish or bullish. And funny you mentioned the chiropractor because when you mentioned the bearish, I saw in the comments Michael, who is a chiropractor and has all these near me names, lawyers near me sold for big money and he invested in them a long time ago. He said he's bullish on certain, I guess, certain new categories of domains, and I think one of them is nearby. I think he likes the word nearby now, but calling him out, he's not even here, I don't think today. But he, I know, we look for new words to add. I like the word nearby. I think he was given some stats. I think how it was picking up, not picking up speed. It's always been one of the near me type things. So nearby, so you can actually find some pretty good stuff. I guess plumbers nearby. But if anybody has any comments on bullish or bearish on domain names, but what a explain a little bit more on bearish. Are you feeling that way because of just, I mean, these mid tier names or lower value names? I'm seeing on Adam, those are really, those are the ones that sell less than 3 grand. I don't know how they're doing with regards to the higher priced names. We see a few, but I mean, percentage wise. But talk a little bit more about why you're bearish.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I mean, the way that I'm not like, again, I'm not like completely bearish on domains. I'm just, I feel like .ai and .com, the premium on the premium side, is standing out, and uh, you know, in like relevance to me and my portfolio, I can tell you how I feel at the moment, and that's the I invested quite heavily in very premium SLDs in .io and .co, especially, um, and I think even more so on the .io side, I would say, and people may disagree with me here, but my selling .co in the mid 5 figure range hasn't been hasn't been bad for me. I've had a few of those kind of sales, and but I really do feel like .ai has eaten into .io territory in a really meaningful way, um, because over the last year and a half or so, just like inquiries on my more premium .io names have gone down substantially. Offers, interest in general, and these are .io names that are probably priced pretty high. 100 grand or somewhere in that range. So like, you're obviously not expecting them to sell very often, but you do still expect to see some interest, and to get you know somewhat decent offers. I'm talking about SLDs that are registered in 200 plus extensions, like top keywords. And I just really haven't seen any interest on my side for a long time, and I probably have 50 really really top keywords. So I would just, if I had those same 50 keywords in .ai, I know that interest would be like through the roof. Um, so that's all I'm saying is that the tides are the tide has certainly turned, and I feel that the tide is now favoring. Uh, well, obviously it's favoring premium.ai names, right? That's not like news to anyone. Uh, but it's also favoring premium.coms because these these are kind of like the standout assets that can't be not like replicated in some ways, right? It's like when someone brands on a .tech, they could have just as easily branded on a .live or like a .app, or what have you. And I think the same thing goes for like a .io and a .co and then a you know, whatever. But uh, when you brand on a .com, everyone knows that you've got something unique. You've got something that nobody else can get. Um,
Like Barry Manilow used to say, "Looks like we made it." Okay, so Josh,
yeah.
yeah, if it's a tech extension, a lot of companies end in technology, so I can see that a lot of companies don't end in live. So I like when it's a dot tech, when it's myriad technologies and their myriad dot tech. I wanted to say, to be clear to everyone here, I invited 35 people to speak. So don't feel like you're special. Like, oh shit, Todd wants me to come up there and I'm not going to do, I just don't want to right now. I don't even care. I mean, I can fucking talk this whole time. Anyway, so don't feel special, but I wanted the people that didn't get an invite, I wanted you to think about that. I invited
So like,
35 motherfuckers. I invited everybody. Of course, I did invite still Fabian and Darcy, the people that I know that will likely, maybe come up here. King, Exodot. I didn't even invite them, but I invited 35 other people. And there's I Heart Domain. I didn't invite in. I didn't invite Domaining this time, but I did invite Paul. I see him laughing. Yeah, Paul, I didn't care. I think Rigo, he thinks he's going to come up here. I can Summit. I'm going through Jason.com. No, Jason, don't really care if you come up here, but I fucking invited you anyway. I invited fucking so many people, and I don't think Adams ever even spoke, and I invited him like 4 different times over there. But if I'm like, I don't know if you guys know Mary Lou Henner. Yeah, I got a memory like her. Okay, so I remember all this stuff. But anyway, Braden may come in today because there's some things I was asking you, Josh, that Braden answered for me about what he does when he evaluates buying other extensions like .ai and buying portfolios. So I won't say what he
yeah, he
said
does.
because he may
He
come in
he
and tell us.
does. He does what I taught him to do.
Hey, yeah, yeah. I'm glad you said. So Jason.com is the first one that came up. I'm going to get these other people. It looks like people requested. But Jason, so what's going on? How's life?
Hey, I was not invited. I had a request to be invited.
Can I say something real quick, Todd? You mentioned like .tech, and you know, if your name is Myriad Technology and you use Myriad.tech, it looks cool. I agree with you, by the way. I think that those names look cool. I think that, if your name is Bloom and you use Bloom.consulting, it looks good. If you're a live streaming service called Bloom and you use Bloom.live, it looks good. Um, and so on and so forth. And I think that more people in the public are used to seeing these type of domains now. Uh, Still, for the most part, still most of them default to .com, but they're more used to it than they were. And I think that is dilutive. And I think that if you're not getting the best of the best, which is, .com, your branding.com, then every other option is fine. And it's like, the fact that it's fine just makes it not valuable, and there's so many of them. um and you can't like pick one, right? It's like, oh, I want to invest in .tech because that one's getting some adoption. The only reason why .tech gets more adoption than like, or has more premium sales than like a .consulting, for example, is because of the description of what they're doing, right? It's like technology businesses are going to be more interested in owning domains than consulting businesses. So, um, yeah, that's
Well,
all I'll say on that.
we got a lot of topics to cover today. First, I want to say hi to Fabian. He's the one up here on stage right now that I didn't invite, so deserves the mic. What's up, Fabian? What's up today?
Hey, hey, Todd. I was gonna say you invited me last week, but I didn't see one for today, so I had to go and request it for today. But besides the obvious of .com.ai, I'm bullish on .now. We saw Believe.now sold for what was it, 9K last week, last month. So .now, I'm actually buying some right now. I'll probably get back to you and let you know what I'm currently buying. So, but yeah, .now is kind of on the radar for me.
Yeah, now I know I didn't invite you. Okay, so no, hey,
You called me out. You called me out though.
Fabian,
You
that's
said you
awesome. But
sent
yeah,
me the
dot now,
invite, and
I
then
think
I'm
it's
like,
pretty
where is it?
cool. I think it's cool. I mean, but I just don't. I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, if it's going to be the ones, it seems like it's almost catching on. And boy, people get mad when people start promoting it. No, I do like dot now. I love it. Three letters, one syllable. I don't like stuff that's got three letters you have to say. And I'm not going to mention some CFD. Okay, so I don't. I like
Yeah.
Julie
Do
that's
you own
doing that.
any
Okay,
.now, Todd?
what'd you say?
Do you own any .now?
No, I'd like to own Pay.Now, but I don't own that one,
Eh?
so I don't give a fuck about any of them now. Hey, okay, so we're gonna whip it around the horn real fast. Ish, what's happening today? How are you?
I'm good. Just working on the spreadsheet, listening to you guys, and then you guilt tripped everyone to come up. Um, just some observations. I think Josh is falling in love with .tech, and I've been hearing him talk about it quite a bit. Yeah, Fabian and the .now guys are starting to move like a cult. I don't know if it's a coordinated thing, but the .now guys are just sort of like everywhere. And yeah, I'm just here to just listen and learn.
Yeah, those guys, it's not a, they don't consider it a cult. They act like they're the B2 bomber, that go over real in line with each other and stuff. Hey, Josh, you do throw in .tech a lot, so do you have a few of those?
No, maybe like five. Um, no, I don't know why. I throw in .tech because I think it's the one that, based on the Afternic report at the end of the year, had the most volume for aftermarket sales, from like a new GTLD standpoint.
Yeah. Hey, good. I want to speak to these other guys real fast, and then I have a question for you. And Seiger's like Axl Rose. Yeah, he wants to come up. He lad, like we're waiting on stage. And okay, so next up, Slash Bruce Breger. Bruce, what's happening today? Thanks for doing this.
Todd, I was so comfortable just sitting down in the audience and just laughing at everything you say, but then you come up and you start calling out people like you said, and I decided to come on up just so we can hear, so I can just make an appearance and then go back down and hear you, hear some more of your jokes.
Well, no, just interrupt. I like when you're up here. So it was when someone interrupts, it's even funner to go, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like Jason. Jason just chimes in like, "I thought you were talking to me." No, no one's ever addressed the guy. But
I
yeah,
think my
just go.
connection's fucked up. I don't know what's going on. So
Hey, hey, well,
I'm
but it is
trying, bro. I'm trying.
it is good to
Just like that,
see.
right?
It is good to see Adam. Adam, what'd you do? You just made a mistake and clicked accept, or what?
Hey, hey. So, what I got two things. One of your first spaces, I did come up on stage. So I was up once. So much for that bear trap mind. And two, I never see the invites because I'm never looking at my phone. It doesn't make a noise. I don't know if there's a setting you'd have to set up. So, I'm just listening to it. I'm doing my stuff on my computer. so I never see the invites. You got to call me out like you did now, and I'm like, oh, he's invited me, so now I'll come up. So
Well,
that's one reason why I never come up.
okay.
I just never know.
Eliminate excuses, eliminate failure. Okay, so that's what. But hey, Adam. So I look forward to your comments too. But so first, okay, so we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to say hi to Mike Seiger, how he made it up the stairs like an old man. You made it up here. What's going on?
I have no idea how I made it up here. I think it's a mistake, but I'm happy to be here.
Hey, well, I was going to ask Josh this, and then you can chime in, Mike, and I'd like to hear from the others. So I was going to ask Josh, if you had the $500, you know they're doing this at Domain Academy, where you get $500, you see how what you can turn it into in a year. Before we ask Mike what he's been doing, because he's already into the contest. Josh, what would you do with $500? I mean, how would you start? Investing. You got 1 year to turn it in as much as possible. So where do you begin?
Just searching for value from anywhere from the price range of $1 to $500. I personally wouldn't put like a budget on it. If I went onto DNX and I saw a name listed for $500 that I thought was easily worth 1,000 or 1,500, then I would buy it and flip it and then buy more. If I saw a great closeout for $11 or $50 that I knew was worth more, then same situation. So I probably wouldn't limit it to one strategy.
Well, that's pretty general to say, but I mean, so you didn't give us a sector or anything, but how do you flip it? How do you flip it? And then I'm going to ask Mike. I mean, yeah. Oh, you just say it like then I'll just flip it. But how do you flip it?
List it on marketplaces for slightly more, and or reach out to investors that would pay more for it.
This guy's got an answer for everything. Hey, okay, so Mike, I mean, he said it makes it sound really simple. That's why he lives in the big house, has a bunch of kids. I guess a couple more on the way. Twins. I don't know if I surprised you, Josh, but your wife reached out and said, "Yeah, twins. Expect twins in like I don't know, 6 months."
No,
Okay,
please no.
So Mike, what's going on so far with your portion of the investment? What have you invested in, and what's the next steps?
Well, first of all, I'm surprised that Josh didn't say stop being poor, right? Isn't that what he's basically giving the advice for?
Stop being poor. That's it. That's right.
So yeah, what Josh says is technically correct. I have been on DNX repeatedly looking for great domains that I can buy for. I'm not going to commit the entire $500 because $500 is all we have to spend if we don't make any sales. And this is the luck of the draw. You can own a great domain name that many people would love to own, and then you'll never sell it for retail. And we only have a 1 year timeline on this. So I'm trying to pick up good inventory type domains for under $20 all in, so I can buy a good number of them and have a snowball's chance that somebody might click the buy it now button and then I'll be in the lead. So I'm picking up domains that have keywords that I like turbo, super, boost, real, fresh. Those are all words, adjectives that I've seen pay off in the past. So I have my list, like I think a lot of domain investors have, that's based off of CDOS information and name bio information and stuff we see on Twitter and Afternics information that they post. And I just every day, every couple of days, I'm going to expireddomains.net and looking for twoword.com that have a keyword like that in either the first or second position and seeing what's available. So I've got things like freshparenting.com, which could be a parenting blog or a consultant that helps with parenting. Recapreel.com, which could maybe take pictures and create a recap reel of the event for video for promotion. Admission Boost, which could help college seniors get into college. OpenOutbound.com, which is like outbound marketing. It could be an API platform for outreach, things like that. Turbo Bicycles, which I think is a great brand for just any type of e-bike. Super Scorecard, which, scorecards are big for consulting companies that like, here, we'll give you an SEO scorecard, we'll give you a business profile scorecard, tell you how you're doing, tell you how you rate, things like that. So just a whole bunch of twoword.com, less than 14 letters, some alliteration if I can get it, using keywords that I know have sold well in the past. And then my boy Bruce Brieger has given me a tip to go for VegasBankruptcyLawyers.com because he felt sorry for me. I texted Bruce. Bruce, are you up here? And I'm like, hey, what do you think about this domain name? And he's like, yeah, not so good, Mike, for a geo domain that you're going to do some outreach on. But here, take this one, VegasBankruptcyLawyers.com. And for those of you that are unaware, type that into Google. There's a ton of companies out there doing bankruptcies in Las Vegas. So I have been doing outbound on that every few days. Nothing, I haven't gotten the great response like how much yet, but I'm seeing opens. I'm following up. The money's in the follow-up, and we're going to hopefully try and move that for $500 to $1,000. I think I have it priced at $995 if somebody actually does a search on it, but willing to negotiate for end users to buy it, and going to give that a shot. So that's what I've been working on lately on the domain side. It's been a fun game. For those of you unfamiliar, I'm competing against Andrew Alleman, Deepak Daftari from India, James Isles from GoDaddy, Joe Styler from GoDaddy, who's running DN Academy now, and Piyush, I think his last name is Patel, from the UK. So it's been fun getting to know them a little bit better and, talking smack about domains we're buying. And yeah, that's about it.
Hey, Michael, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry
Bruce.
about that, Todd. I'm gonna do it. Jason, interrupt you for a sec, Todd. Michael, are you allowed to make phone calls to sell the name, or just
Oh, heck yeah.
and your cell phone bill's paid?
My cell phone bill is paid.
Okay.
How many emails do you send before you pick up the phone?
Well, how many people have opened up that email more than 3 times?
Oof, that is so. I'm not in the Bruce Brieger
I'm going to
school
start Bruce
of.
Domain Academy. You want to sign up?
I know. No, I want you to do it for me. That's what I want.
That's against the rules. But anybody
It
who
is
opens
not
up
against the rules.
get on the phone. Get on the phone and call anybody. Anybody who's opened it up more than 3 times, get on the phone and call them.
Yeah. Okay. I was
That's
gonna
good advice.
so I start off with the first email is like, hey, I've got this domain name. Are you interested? Then the second one is like, hey, did you get my first email? And then the third one is I just found out that if you use host.io, you can type in any domain name. It'll show you other domain names that those people own that are redirecting to their main website. And so I found out that there are like, surprisingly, a lot of these Las Vegas bankruptcy attorneys will use multiple websites or multiple domain names at least and redirect it to their main one. And so I sent an email saying, hey, did you know that these are other domain names that people own as a redirect that gives you optionality to put up a landing page to, gather leads? And I got a few more opens on that. And then the next one I texted you, Bruce, is I've actually used V0 to design up a landing page. And I'm going to email again and say, hey, did you know that you can set up a landing page just to gather leads? And you can use that for marketing, for advertising, any way that you want on that without affecting your main website. And I'm going to send them a link to the webpage that I designed using V0. And if they need some help hooking up the domain name to a host with that webpage, I'm happy to do that as well. So we'll see what kind of response I get from that. And then after I send that email, I think that's a great idea to call them on the phone, Bruce.
I have a question, Mike. Are you allowed to flip domains to other investors?
Oh yeah, totally. Like if you offered me $100 for turbobicycles.com, I might take it. I'll
Is
probably
anyone
take it.
are any of you guys doing like is that a strategy for any of the guys on your?
I think, yeah, I think anybody would probably do it. Nobody has done it yet. So we've been in this competition now for a month, maybe a little bit over a month, and nobody has sold anything yet. So
Which is normal, right? If you're like that's the thing with because there's a deadline on this, because you've got a timeline on it, and it's a fairly short timeline in the world of retail sales.
totally.
It's tough, man. Like I think I would if I were doing it, I think I would go immediately into just churning as many as I could to other investors if it was me.
Yeah, I agree. I probably would wholesale these out. I bought them for $17.20. So if I sell one of them for $50, like I'm leading the competition, and the chances of somebody else not being able to get the reach and do the same thing are higher. I've got a slightly better X profile, I think, than some other people. So I don't know. I might do that. The thing I've been noticing is like I've got 7 domain names that I've purchased. I go day after day after day to expire domains using the criteria that I just stated a few minutes ago, and I can't find anything.
Yeah.
I think my domain names are better than everybody else, but who's to say, right? Like everybody thinks their domain names are better than everybody else.
Yeah, no, completely. That's so true.
Mike, what's the shortest name that you're trying to sell for this?
The shortest, like for number of letters?
Yeah.
Recapreal.com is the shortest by character count.
Got it.
Yeah, good question, Fabian. Anyway, no, I got it. I caught that anyway. But first, I wanted to say to Josh, yeah, they all want to sell them, even flip them. They can't because, and that's like Mike going, I'm thinking about wholesaling them. Yeah, well, think all you want. I mean, it's not easy to do. No one care. You picked it up for 20, try to sell it for 25. Hard to do. You can do, I think there's some okay ones there. When I say okay, well, shit, they certainly could sell in 5 years. I like Mike's imagination is what us domainers we talk about. Can it hurt you or help you? Fresh parent. Yeah, that sounds like fresh pet. That's okay. Fresh parenting. You ever go to a parent group and they go, "Are you a new parent? Are you a first-time parent?" No, I'm a fresh parent. You guys are stupid. You have the wrong terminology. But the point is, when you want to sell them, Mike, you want like all the guys, everybody will be interested in flipping. Well, there's just nobody there to catch it on the other side. I know Arif's going to join us at some point. I will not invite him up, but there's no way that he won't want to participate. So, but Arif knows I'm thinking about wholesaling some names. People think about it. That doesn't mean you can't. And I'm glad you mentioned Bruce. Bruce, this would be this is a made to order contest for him because he absolutely would be. Hey, I'm buying names that I'm going to call and try to flip, and I got all my tools ready, all the checking who opens the emails, the texting. Bruce will text you even if you're in a place where there's the no texting rules. He'll text you. He's willing to go to court. This is recorded.
It would be fun to see Bruce in a competition like this because his costs are the lowest. He's got like hand registration for the most part and then just dialing for dollars.
If I buy for 10 and someone offers me 18, I'm selling up, pumping out of the next one. I'm not going that low. Low. But, oh, here's RF. Don't that, buddy. I love you, buddy. No, if I could buy something for 10 and sell it for 200 and move on to the next, do that a few times a day, Mike,
totally.
you'd be in the lead right now.
Yeah, I just can't find any good domain names. I guess I don't have your process for buying the geo service domain names.
Mike, reach out to anybody who opened that email 3 times. Tell them to sell them right now for $300. You'll get it sold.
Whoa. All right.
Hold on. Don't say you don't have any good names just yet, Mike. I wanted to wait a couple months and be the one to say it to you, but it's too early to tell. Hey, Arif, what do you want to say before Fabian tries to jump in again?
Well, I was going to say, it's been 5 years. I'm just saying, I'm going to do a wholesale portfolio. And I get far sometimes. Last year or so, I've actually put a list together, but I never end up pushing it, and marketing it. And the next thing you know, some of them are starting to expire. I'm like, ugh, what do I do? Do I redo everything? And it's just like, nah. So it is. I don't know. I've always been curious. I'm always the person whose brain I really like to be able to take all the data from is Josh, because of DNWE, because that's the thing. Part of my hesitation is just not knowing what the wholesale market is, because if you haven't done it, you don't really know. And it's kind of like, I like to get data, and it's just there's not much out there. I don't have the time to go through and check name pros to see what's sold and not. I think they actually delete information after the transactions are done. So I don't know where you can get data for wholesale stuff. I mean, you can go to GoDaddy and look at their GoDaddy value, because half of that is, well, actually more than that. 90% of that's based on wholesale stuff. But how do you know what's what and what not?
How is DNWE doing at the moment? Are people still selling on there?
I have no idea. I keep on meaning to check it. I interacted with Ryan a couple of times last year, but he seems to have I haven't heard. I mean to reach out to him, because I know he had some health issues, and he was really had some stuff planned. He was really excited about it last year, and I haven't really seen much change. So I don't know. Hopefully it's okay. I don't know if anybody of you have talked to him or not, but
he's been on X again recently, and I got an email from him the other day. I think he's doing all right.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, we'll get Ryan on here. Name pros, I think, and I'm going to let Fabian, he had a comment to say. Well, Fabian, go ahead. What comment did you have?
Well, I just wanted to ask Bruce what his longest domain was, if he knew right off the bat, or if he needs. I know probably need some time to look that up, because I know he likes the 3-word .coms, where I prefer a 1-word .anything. Maybe not .anything. Maybe it has to be shorter than 3 characters, the extension. But yeah, that's all I was going to bring up.
My longest domain?
Yeah.
Wow. Give me a few minutes.
Trick
Yeah,
question,
no worries.
Fabian. No, Fabian, I love
20.
it, because you'll get Bruce to spend 45 minutes doing something that's fucking a waste of his time, and we won't hear from him. You'll ruin his time. Probably never speak with anyway. So
I'm just gonna stay off mic to talking just to irritate the fuck out of Todd.
It was also just to make a point about I know I'm talking to the wrong crowd, where people like 3-word .coms over 1-word something that goes well, So
the difference is that when you get into 3 words, there's often geos or something very specific. So you can target a very specific end user when doing outbound, right? Whereas if you're putting stuff on Brand Bucket, short and sweet, if somebody's coming to you and looking for something, that's different, right? So there's different styles of sales.
Oh, absolutely. If you can hand register a 3-word and flip it for $2,000, that's awesome. You can, dude. That's probably what Bruce does all day.
Pretty good if you're getting something for cheap. I mean, I saw that 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I remember my first 4 sales of the year were 3 words or more. I think there was 3 of them for 3 words, and even a 4-word in there. But they sell, right? But they have to be the right ones. Yeah. Right? You can't just say 3 words or 4 words, right? It has to be very targeted, and it has to be already existing end users in a business that has, money flowing through it at a regular basis. It can't be just some willy-nilly, pet service Montreal type of thing, right? That just doesn't work.
There's just so many variations when you add that 3rd word, that you can instead of best, you can use top, you can use blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and you can't have two random adjectives like that. They're not connected.
Okay, I found it.
That's top something. That doesn't work.
My longest name is Discover Southern California.
How many is that?
3 words.
No, I mean, how many
you want me to count them? I just told you what it was.
Fuck, let's just think of it real fast. It looks like 8 in the first one, DISA.
Well, you have to count them to find out, right?
Southern is, Bruce probably spelled Southern wrong, so let's figure that's another 7. And then California, who gives
just to circle back one more time on the .now, I just registered offroad.now for $30, and I'm pretty sure I can probably sell that for at least $2,000. I mean, John Kenny just sold, what was that? Onboard.now 2 days ago for $2,000. So, I mean, that's what I'm focusing on. But like you said, there's so many ways to make it.
You're going to get kicked off stage.now if you don't stop, which I'm just kidding.
Hey,
I'm a joker.
26 letters.
So
hey, I have certified chartered accountants. That's 29 letters.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, I have something like there's a suckerborneveryminute.com. I really do, and and that's a lot. Hey, Josh, so run.so, speaking of, well, before I get to this run.so, I wanted to ask, Mike, are you considering name pros? Because Arif brought it up, and in the old days, that's all we had. We go to name pros, and you really could say, "Hey, you other domain investors." So, have you even thought of name pros, Mike?
No, I don't think of name pros at all. I have despised these discussion forums in the past because everybody's operating under pseudonyms, and there's a lot of I don't know. It's not the kind of um, mojo that I'd like to associate with. But having said that, I haven't been there in a while, and I totally didn't think of it. So maybe.
If you want to
But
flip, that's not a bad thing. Plus, also
yeah,
the rules of your competition is really weird. It's not like how much you end up with; it's your total sales volume, right? So if you buy domains
right.
at $20 all day long and flip
Yep.
them for 20 or even $19, right? You lose a little money, but you'll at the end you'll win the competition if you have the volume.
Yeah, and it has to transact on GoDaddy, so it has to be,
Oh, what's the minimum
checkout link.
commission? What's the minimum commission at GoDaddy? Is it $20?
5% with a checkout link.
Yeah, but there's a
I can't
minimum.
remember if it's $99 minimum or not using a
Oh,
checkout link.
okay.
Yeah. And
But related to longest domain name ever sold, I sold conversionrateoptimization.com. That's a mouthful. You can check Name Pros. I think I sold it for 8,500 maybe. I don't know. 10,000, 12,000, something like that. The good old days of long domain names.
yeah, and in the old days, Mike, right, name pros, it got a little out of hand. It was ridiculous, a lot of anonymous people. But then all of a sudden, 4 or 5 years ago, on Twitter, everybody in the crypto fucking world and NFTs, everybody's anonymous. All the young people, and I say the young people, a lot of people want to, be anonymous. So now, then all of a sudden, everybody accepted it. I don't want to be doxxed. So now you go back to name pros and you realize it's mostly a bunch of old people a lot of us that we know that, that now they're not so or they're not so anonymous anymore. And, right, I don't know if there's much there anyway. But with regards to,
Do you have to buy? Do you have to buy your domain on GoDaddy, Mike?
You have to either buy it on GoDaddy, closeouts, Afternic, or hand registration. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I forgot about that. That's a,
Because that's actually a one that does. I'll say this is that for like there's quite a lot of cheap undervalued stuff on Cedo as well, so that's somewhat unfortunate.
Yeah.
yeah, but it is good. Hey, so run.so sold for 24,500. That's the Somalia extension .so. But, things that are really short, I think, there's always a place for them. And matter of fact, there was an article. If you look at our show outline, you can go to DNX.show. We don't really follow it too much, but it's in case we run out of things to talk about. There's an article on there that we haven't it's been on the outline since we started this show. This is our show number 9. That I have never gotten to, but because I assume people may have seen it by now. 30 pieces of domain advice you need to know. You didn't know you needed to know until now, but apparently Adam posted something. It was on Twitter and asking people what's the single best piece of domain investing advice you ever received. I'll go through some of it later, but one of them was it was something about quantity. Everybody always says that, quality over quantity. All right, in most senses it usually is correct, except in the old days, when you could register 3letter.coms, no, fuck the quality. You wanted to get all of them, get as many as you can, just register, and you would have been happy to do it. So that's an exception, because usually with short names and sometimes with a new extension, before it catches on, as long as there's not big premium prices on them and premium renewals, sometimes there's limit. Yeah, you'd like to get all. Don't worry about the quality of a 2-letter. There's no such thing as bad quality, is there? Or a 3-letter, but then people will say there is bad quality 3-letter. Okay, run.so sold for 24,500. Josh, I think you made a comment on there about it. You at least congratulated them, but is that even something that would cross your radar to buy run.so because of the extension?
And what's the renewal? Somebody can
If
check it on.
Yeah, it's just all .so renewals are like around $50. So I own some .sos. I've never sold one.
They're all priced lower than that. Messenger.so, speech.so.
So supposed to be like for social media? Is that what the so is
Yeah,
for?
yeah, exactly. Raw.so, like good.so names. I own some good.so names, but I don't get any interest in them. Run.so is obviously a very good one. They probably don't get much better than that. But let's call it as it is. Leo hit that one out of the park. 25 grand for any .so name is awesome. And good for him, man. Really, I mean, it's difficult to say too much on it, other than it's an outlier sale. Don't expect those same results. There's a lot of .so SLDs that are available for registration, and maybe not quite as good as run.so, but I mean, sometimes you gotta get lucky.
I can't think of
Yeah,
anything.
that's what more people realize is that there's a lot of there's luck. And Todd, to get to your question about quality over quantity, that's one thing I want to push back on just a touch, because overall, theoretically, yes, you want quality, and because the further down the quality sort of chain you go, the less likely you are to sell at good prices to be or sell through rates that are worthwhile as an investor. However, if you just put all your money into one domain, right, even good domains can take a decade to sell. And so you might be sitting there if you put your entire money into it. Now, if you put it into a few dozen domains, it still doesn't mean anything, right? Like for many people, it's like on average 1 to 2% sell through rate, and I think closer to 1%, right? So if you have 100 domains, you're going to sell one in a year. But if you buy like 20 domains, well, you're going to sell one in 5 years, right? And if you price it properly, that's kind of okay, right? Like for me, I have a 1% sell through rate and I'm profitable. So that's what people don't, you have to realize, like, yeah, yes, quality you have to go for. But if you're just starting out and you're buying a handful of domains, you just be warned, even if you do well and pick the right ones, you might be sitting there for a long time before you can move forward. So, just take that as a sort of bit of caution.
And Josh, you said that all of them are $50. .so.
I think that's about right. Yeah.
So I tried Mike. I tried your renewal, and it says invalid.
Yeah,
Invalid
the
request
two
for.
registrars I use to gather information do not support .so.
Yeah, I just checked it. And I've tried .ad for .ad, and I don't think it does that one as well. But yeah, but it's a
I
great
just
tool. I use it almost every day.
tried to go and register an SO domain at GoDaddy, and it doesn't even
Yeah,
doesn't even.
Dynadot is the spot for .so names.
Yeah, I pay $57.50 at Dynadot for the one .so that I have.
Uh,
It's so.
and it looks like it's a Palo Alto, California company. I just went to run.so. Um,
Yeah, funny when you said earlier, you 3 word, you go, like blah blah blah. That's a 3 worder. Hey, Josh, there was something I wanted to say. It was about, these quality over quantity. Well, so
Mm.
that means everybody who's got 5,000 names or more. How could you have? They all can't be great. So anybody with the big portfolios, they're doing it wrong. Of course, Mike Mann's doing it wrong. But I mean, from Steve Kennedy to fucking Sten, they can't all be quality. So there is something to quantity. I like, in the domain space, I guess when we were speaking of Ryan earlier, we saw that he had 7,500 names priced at 2,888 or something like that, 29,888. And then what he did is he ended up changing all the pricing on 7,500 up to 29,888 and said, frig it, and I never say the word frig. I usually just say fuck. So he said, it's better. Let's see if I can get one sale faster than it takes me to get 10 sales at that low price. I don't know how it's going. I did see he sold one of them, but what do you think? So you got 6,500 names now. I mean, they're not all quality. I mean, so why do you keep growing the portfolio if it's, how do you feel about, quantity?
No, I know that quantity is a big thing. It's just a question of whether you want to go down that path or not. It's like you mentioned Steve and some of the other guys. I mean, the epitome of quantity is our friends' huge domains, right? I mean, they haven't focused on quality at all through this entire stint of dominating the aftermarket. And you know, I think we all know that they're doing just fine. So you know, if you know how to pick the lower quality names, then the quantity is a huge factor, right?
That's most important thing. Like you can't, when you're going for volume, you cannot sort of let your guard down when it comes to quality. You still have to have that certain minimum, right? Like people say, oh, you can scale up and scale up, but at a certain point, like for me, my thing is the closeouts, right? And so if I get 5 or 10 closeouts a day, that's great. I can get 5 or 10 a day that are solid, right? But then if I'm going to go to double that and go to 20, well, then all of a sudden I'm getting my 11th through 20th best on my list of the day, right? And that waters down the quality control. So you got to be careful at that. That's the one thing is that domains, it's a hard game to scale. And huge domains, they have a different machine, right? They have so many people coming to their site, and they can offer alternatives that make sense to those people. So they have it's a different machine. It's a different sort of tactic, and it works for them, right? Like it's a very good business. It means they can be more forgiving. The same thing on the other end, right? Some people say, oh, Drew Rosner, he overpaid for that domain. But the thing is, like, because of his Rolodex, he can sell domains for faster and for higher amounts, and it makes sense for him. He can pay more for a domain than I can any day of the week and still be more profitable, despite paying more for it. So, it's really what you buy, and your quality control is so important. It's like never let your guard down. For me right now, I'm dropping some domains this year, but it's more stuff from my early years. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to get even tighter in quality control, but the stuff I'm dropping is still in the range of stuff that I still sell. Like every year it's been 5 years now, I'm talking about doing like a wholesale package for 888 domains. And every single year I sell multiple domains within those 888. So it's like, okay, yeah, I do want to tighten up my quality control, but I'm still good enough quality from the baseline that it's not a problem. I'm profitable, right? And that's what most people, they don't really get the right domains most of the time. That's where the danger is when people coming in. They don't realize how good the selection needs to be, even to get that 1% sell-through rate, at the $3,000 an average price, right? It's not as easy as people think.
Do you think you'll see your drops at huge domains?
Yeah,
I think everybody.
Yeah.
for sure.
He wishes. Arif catches his own drops. He's not. He's not opposed to doing that sometimes. Hey, while we got Mike Seiger here. Hey, Mike. So, congratulations on that. Subscription to Pyramid. I see you. Got some money rolling in on the game. Tell us about.
I'm rich,
Tell us.
man.
Well, tell us about what that. What somebody gets for the $1.99. Then also I wanted to talk about the name in itself. But what are they subscribing to?
Yeah. Well, so the quick backstory is that a year and a half ago on spring break, my 13-year-old and I stayed home when my wife and older son went college hunting, and we did a hackathon and developed a couple of games. He developed one, I developed one. And then people liked it, and so I redeveloped it with a beautiful AI, not just functionality. And that's the current version that you see at pyramid.com, where you can play Pyramid Solitaire. The idea is that cards are laid out in a pyramid, and you have to match cards to make 13 points, although a king can be cleared by itself. If you clear the whole pyramid, you win. And so that's been running for about a year or so, and people have enjoyed that. It's got a little leaderboard, so a lot of people in the industry can compete against each other, like our good friend Nickel in London and I usually ping each other how we did today. And then I've been, sometimes you just can't solve a puzzle. It's just really hard. So I wanted a way to add extra lives so you can continue to win. So I built the functionality where if you play 3 days in a row and win, you can earn a gold pass, which allows you to replay the game, maintain your streak, and undo the errors that you made on your last attempt. And so I built that earned functionality. And I'm like, well, some people don't want to have to worry about it. They just want a whole bunch of gold passes. So I just created a dirt cheap option, 5 gold passes for 99 cents, 10 for $1.49, and 20 for $1.99. and took that live on Saturday. And then Monday I got the first sale for $1.99. So I was totally excited. And that is Pyramid Solitaire. It's a simple game once you figure it out, sort of like Wordle. Like once you figure it out, it's simple and fun to participate in. And it has a pyramid of the day. So when you go to pyramid.com, you click play pyramid of the day, it takes you to pyramid.com/POTD, pyramid of the day. And everybody all around the world plays the exact same game. And so you can compare your time to complete the pyramid or the number of moves to your friends and family.
Yeah, the monetization thing sounds like a money grab. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so pyramid. Hey, Josh. So this name pyramid is fucking fantastic. I told Braden at lunch. I said that name you can spell pyramid a little bit. Odyssey, the fucking Odyssey. Three
Mike,
S's in Odyssey. Who knows? But so Mike, you heard me shout out last week trying to get these guys over at Hilco. You know, I know you got Brew over there, BREW, and you also got Pyramid. Boy, and I know
They got my
get some,
dragonfly.com too.
yeah, they got some interest on these names. But so if you finally can come up with a great offer, or it works out and you sell it, then of course you don't the game bye. But what
Yeah, then I'll just move it to like toddspyramid.com or something like that.
yeah, I'm thinking about launching that since you're trying to make money this way. Pyramid, I love pyramid schemes anyway. Although, well,
I was
Josh,
gonna say, Mike, did you have it listed for sale?
It is listed with Hilco Brokerage Company. They don't list it for sale.
Yeah, you gotta talk to them.
Well, they're doing outbound on it right now to
Okay.
potential parties that might benefit from upgrading to it.
Yeah, I'm sure you can't tell us much more about pricing, but 7 figures, obviously.
Yeah, it's in the seven figures.
yeah,
Thanks.
and it's also 7 letters if you're asking, Fabian. Hey, Josh, so what do you think's better, pyramid.com or brew.com?
Or Dragonfly. Which one would you take if you could only take one of them?
Hold on a minute, and I'll tell you. Give me like
Was
give me
Dude,
like
you can't
dragonfly.com?
just look up .db.
no. Just give me some
I want to
Give me
say
some. Give me
I
some
want to
time.
say brew.now so bad, but I did. Whoops.
Well, hey,
Going
Brew.now.
on mute.
Mike, what did you say? Was dragonfly a .net or .com?
They're all .com,
Okay, that's
dude.
what I
Come
thought.
on.
I don't know why.
Come on,
Oh,
Todd.
and I
Come
thought somebody.
on.
That's why I thought. Yeah, but somebody. Well, it's Shane that owns
Todd, which one would you take?
butterfly.net. That's right. I'm getting everybody.
Use your gut. Which one would you take if you could have any one of them?
Well, I'd probably
Which one do
take
you think has the most
pyramid. I'd
value?
probably take pyramid because I just believe somebody's going to love that single word pyramid. It's just fucking big and bad, and that's how it goes down. So I mean, I really believe in that one, but I love the 4 letter. So, but yeah, so the
Yeah.
dragonfly, I don't. I mean, I think is good, but that would be my third choice. So I'd go pyramid, brew, then dragonfly.
I honestly, I'd lean more towards Dragonfly, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Josh, why would you lean more towards Dragonfly? What analytics did you just look at that told you that there's probably more end users who have coffers that could pay for something like that?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of you have to. For me, I have to look a little bit beyond like some of the stats. So, like for example, if I go to LinkedIn and if I was to type in Dragonfly and under the companies, I'm only getting 1,800 results compared to Brew that I'm getting 5,200 and Pyramid where I'm getting 2,700. So actually, Dragonfly is the lowest. But then what you really what's interesting to me, and I don't not maybe not everyone looks at it this way, is that not all of those results are created equal, right?
Right.
And what I'm most interested in is how many companies are just like really their raw brand is just Dragonfly, and that's a lot. There's a lot of them, while like Pyramid and Brew, it's a little bit less so. I would say Brew there are quite a lot too, and then Pyramid maybe slightly less. And then .db then tells another story, and it shows that Dragonfly is registered in the most number of TLDs. So it's almost like suddenly now it goes in reverse. And then Crunchbase, for me, Crunchbase is actually a really good one, and I don't need to dig in too much on Crunchbase in order to get a really good idea. Is like what personally what I'm looking for on those premium names is how many of the companies are literally just called Dragonfly, not like Dragonfly Media, not Dragonfly Corp or something like that, just Dragonfly. And like if you go to Crunchbase, there's just a big long list of companies that are just called Dragonfly.
Yeah, and the thing that I tack onto that at Crunchbase is how many. So exactly what you said. How many are exact match for the brand, and where are they in their raising of funds? Are they raised $1 million, or in a friends and family round, or did they raise their Series E at 300 million? Because there's a big difference between those two as well.
Yeah. So are we on the same page, Mike, in terms of which one is
Oh,
the best?
100%. Like,
Yeah.
I think most people's gut reaction might be, well, I love that word, so I would take that word. Or I want the shortest one possible, so I would take brew. And what you said is exactly what I'm hearing from the Hilco team, that when they email, they email a lot of different companies and let them know that they're representing this brand, which is coming to market. And I think one of the statistics I heard was that if they'll email 10 companies about Dragonfly, all 10 of them will respond back, yes, tell me more.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you
And
hand
so
It's
Say
a
again?
little bit different than Vegas bankruptcy lawyers then.
Hey, Mike, did you hand
Wait, are you
register?
knocking my names over there, Josh?
Shit. Sorry, Bruce.
Nobody's knocking you, Bruce. You're the king, man.
Wow. Mike, I'm going to help you sell that name just because of that. I'm going to help you sell
Yeah.
Please.
Screw Josh. Help me sell this name.
Are these hand registered, Mike? I know you've been
None
here.
of these are hand registered. No. No.
When did you get your first hand registered? Just curious.
I hand registered the company, the media company name that I built for 7-8 years, then sold, then semi-retired back in 1999.
Let me guess.
So I started in media.
Sigma Media or something like that. What was it?
i6sigma.com.
Oh,
with a hand
Sigma.
registration.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still tell them. I still send them emails with, "Oh, this Sigma domain is
Yeah, you do.
at least once a year. At least once a year.
Yeah,
Well,
I got rid of all those domains, and I'm so happy.
Well, we gave Mike plenty of airtime for to come in and say, I have these three, especially if a lot of us have portfolios for years, and we know our whole portfolios aren't as valuable as those three names. Really gets my goat. I'm really upset right now. Pyramid.
Well-
and I don't care what anybody says. Josh, Hilco, we're all going to wait around and see which one sells for the big amount. I can't wait. I hope you get.
All you have to do is spend more money buying domain names, Todd.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's also spent more than he has probably.
Okay, so he's done for the day, Josh. Yeah. Well, no, we were gonna. There was so many things to talk about. Barman bought Let's Chat. I remember not long ago, and he was saying he's getting a bunch of spam or something on that. But I really like that name. I want to ask you, Josh. Let'sChat.com. He was saying he thinks he made a mistake buying it because didn't like the traffic he's getting on it. But Let's Chat. I mean, don't you think that's still a great one? Let's Chat.
It's a great name.
If he bought for less than,
Yeah.
I think he bought it for 10 or 15.
Yeah, I think he bought it between 10 and 15. You're right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's probably not a name that I would do self brokerage for. I would just let GoDaddy handle all those inquiries. But it's definitely a good name. He's just obviously. I think that he's just saying he regrets it because he doesn't want to deal with all the the baggage.
He likes
but
it, and you can't believe anything he says. I mean, he's so sarcastic on there, and he'll try to get your goat too. About some other. I had so many different things I wanted to touch on about aftermarket.com. Our friend craft names Oren. He was saying,
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to aftermarket.com? Any word? Do you know what happened with that place?
No, kind of. I know that they went through some. I know that there was a little bit of controversy. Do you remember Aaron Oxborough wrote something about being let go from aftermarket after they got acquired, after Domain.io got acquired? So I think that they were without a strong developer, which is needed with these kind of projects. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, and I talked with Aaron one time on a call about something, maybe what he was working on to see if they might be able to work together on something. I know he was developing out. I can almost think of it because I think he completed. I think he launched it, developed out a new business. But yeah, so I sort of remember that. While I'm thinking of it, you said something. You
It was
think that?
wasn't it IP.info?
Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, ip.info,
But
which
he sold it, right, to ipinfo.io.
Right.
I think pretty fast, and people
Pretty quickly, yeah.
say a lot, but I think he just got paid a little bit to get out of it. But you said, Josh, you said .dev is a sleeper. Were you serious?
um, was I serious? Not, I guess not really. I mean, like, again, it's kind of like .tech. Like, it has some decent adoption. So, is it a sleeper in terms of getting decent adoption? Yes. Is it a sleeper from like a you should go and invest in this domain? No.
Hey, Mike, real quick, see if Vegas bankruptcy lawyers.tech is available or .dev.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest bankruptcy.lawyer. Isn't there a .lawyer? I didn't even know there was .dev.
I mean, there's no joke. Most domain investors, they spend too much time doing this. They'll be needing a bankruptcy
Hey,
lawyer.
Bruce, quick question
Yeah.
for Bruce, because we were just talking about VegasBankruptcyLawyers.com. Have you ever bought a .attorney or a .lawyer domain name and tried to outbound it?
No, I don't think that. I think that it states that only a lawyer or attorney at one point could have only registered those.
Oh,
Oh.
really?
But those no, I've never done
Those are
that.
so long. The extensions. How many?
No, it's not long enough. I just don't like the, I love .com, because then you have to explain to the attorney, and a lot of attorneys, especially in Vegas, they buy the .vegas extension.
Yeah.
What about .abogado?
Yeah, so
There you
so
go.
so we do this thing. We have a little website DNX.show, and I think Adam was in the room another day with Ish or something. I can't remember, but people were talking about maybe it was this Darcy down there. I don't know if he's still here. A few guys were talking about it, but oh no, it was also I know it was Jack Domainer, but I think the future is the last word of your business if the dot goes before it. So like I like DNX.show. You don't need a .com. It makes it too long. It just makes it long. So if there's almost extensions to most every business word, like we talked about tech or dev or so on. So I like the idea of if you can shorten your domain, I like it. I mean, I think it looks good. I think it feels good. I
It
think
really
that's
depends
more
I
of
on
the
who.
agree.
future. And
It
young people,
100%.
yeah. Who said 100%? Oh,
really
Fabian.
depends on your audience,
Okay.
right? Like if your audience is 100% domainers, they're all going to get it. You're not going to lose anybody because it's not a .com, right? There's certain businesses where it does matter. Like if you're a lawyer, it probably does because
Geos have to be .com for sure.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you guys aren't going to get me to run out of bullshit to talk about. So there was this guy had CDBN
That will
priced
never happen.
on a Atom. So I want to whip it around the horn and hear what you guys
What
think
was the
because
domain again?
CDBN, it was a 4 letter. I call it a quad premium. It's great letters, but still not knowing what this name means. And the guy joked around. I think he said it means compact disc buy now, something goofy. But the long story short was that company Adam priced it at 32,000. He has the right to upgrade it to 36K, and he's like, geez, that seems awful low, don't it to
That
you?
was good.
Well, yeah, I'm a big, I mean, I'm a three-letter investor, four-letter forever. If you can get a 30, geez, a sale in the 30,000s for and I say not random, but it's going to be an acronym. Okay, it's not an effing word, so it's going to be an acronym, and so you look out there, and I'm sure. But first, Josh, so you had CDBN, pretty cool four-letter. I like to own them because I own them all for I hand registered crap like this. So what do you think is a fair asking price for it?
Is that domain? That was the domain where the guy said he wasn't happy with the approval amount from Atom.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, well, I thought it may have meant something that I didn't realize or something like that because of his post, but it turns out I don't think it does. I think that would be a great price for that domain.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked. Why do you think
Yeah, I'm glad you
this?
called him
Yeah,
out,
I
Todd.
mean, well, no, because you're curious why. I mean, if it does mean something that I didn't really search, didn't care. I saw, I think Dan made a comment on there, Dan Sarah, that yeah, probably because of the letters. Yeah, I know because of the fucking letters, and I know they're good letters, but why? What do these letters mean? I mean, in that order, because listen, you hold on to these things forever. We want and Josh, we're getting a lot of folks. I get messages from some friends. I got a big call today, this afternoon, with a friend of mine who's a distributor. He distributes films, and we're working on something, and I look forward to it. But he said, "Hey, I heard some of your shows, this DNX show with Josh," and I said, "Yeah, sorry about these shows." But anyway, there's a lot of people that listen to domain investing. They're not really familiar with it, and they're finding it interesting. So, when we're talking about, where do you buy these things? Where do you sell them? And then there's, a lot of our friends here have been doing it just 1, 2, 3 years, and they're interested in, okay, these domain investing tips. So my tip on when you can pick up four-letter.com domain names, sometimes $200 to say under 1,000, but definitely in the three figures. You can get some really good stuff. You can pick up a
There,
name like this one, CDBN, sometimes wholesale for 600, 700, 800. Well, and you're going to price them at maybe low five figures, I'd say would be reasonable. So I'd probably have this one priced at 25 grand myself. But I think people, just asking a lot. You ask 35 grand. Yeah, not only do you have to hold 10 years, a long time possibly. Things are changing. We held names. A lot of us old timers will hold them for 20 years, but it was different from 2005 to 2025. Now shit is changing. I don't believe the future is as bright for names that aren't single words like you were mentioning, Josh.
there's
But
almost 500,000 combinations for four-letter.coms.
yeah, we know the
So,
numbers, 456 or whatever.
there we
I
go.
like
Yeah.
having you here, Fabian, because I feel like yeah, I'm Johnny, you're Ed, and I can say, yeah, what are you talking about? Okay,
Well,
so
Pyramid,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, thanks. Fuck it.
I'm not going to say Todd. I'm not going to say anything about
Yeah,
for
yeah.
this. We've had this conversation
Before
too
we go
many
to
times.
UFO, Mike, you were off mute, and so was Josh. But first, Mike, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that's the beauty about this game. Everybody is entitled to price whatever domain name at whatever price they want. But unless you can like justify why you're upset at a third-party marketplace limiting the price of your domain name, I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like, they're just random letters. And I was like, Josh, like, what does it mean? Half the time I look at the sales that are on X and I'm like, why did you get this sale? Like, what does it mean? And if I actually do a Google search for it and see that it means, lawyer in some language, or it actually has some search volume or is something that I've never heard of before, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But most of the time I'll do a search and like, that just seems like a terrible domain name, and good for you for selling it, because now it's not in your portfolio anymore and you don't have to worry about it.
Don't have to
But
pay
like,
$11
right,
more.
like half the time the sale people have really bad taste for
Yeah.
branding. And that sometimes leads to bad domain names being purchased by investors, and also bad domain names being purchased by end users. It's just the way of the world. But I think getting mad at a third-party marketplace for limiting it, like, pull it down, go list it on your own landing page. You can do whatever you want. You own it.
Yeah, the guy was complaining about the 30% commission and the price. It's like, all right, then don't list him there. Hey, UFO, nice to have you. What's up today?
Not much. Just wanted to chime in and just I think good discussions today. A little bit all over the map, which is expected, which is cool. But I think another thing that people can really learn from, and I'm learning every day, is when you lose an auction. Now people might think like, oh, how can you learn from that? I think one, it's important to sometimes try to have proxies in, and also kind of discipline a little bit in terms of your cost of acquisition, but also two, even when there's names where you're like, why the fuck, or certain language, why is it going for so much, or what don't I see? And not these ones like you're talking about, like 4 letters that are random, but in terms of like keywords that maybe you didn't have on the map before, that you're like, holy shit, this actually is used by a lot of companies. And it's like, for example, one of them I just realized recently is the word centum, centum, right? And it means 100 in Latin. There's a lot of companies on centum, right? So I just picked up and go down, for $1, centumholdings.com, right? And so just names like that where it wasn't on my list, Holdings was, but not Centum. And I realized it's because there was another name that I was bidding on that was a keyword AI, and they're just going out of control right now, which is a different discussion. But so it's just kind of one of those, like, yeah, I lost, but I actually learned a lot more because I was able to add different keywords that I would never have seen before on certain names that I've lost on, or it opens up your curiosity to find other names that you're like, wow, this is really branded on and by a lot of names, but I've never thought of it on my own. So I think that's a lot of times where, as a domainer, you can grow a lot quickly because that's where you get the alpha, in my opinion. Yeah, these one-off sales on X where it's like really random, but then the ones where it's like, what, that's a good word and I never thought of it before. And I'm adding to my list every day of words that are just in hundreds of company names that I've never thought about. And most of you probably, I mean, maybe some people would have it on their list, but that's kind of where I think a lot of people, you can gain a lot when you lose sometimes, if that makes any sense in these auctions.
I've learned so much from being a domain investor, right? Like, 'cause you go through a list, it's like, oh, does that make business sense? Does that have value? And sometimes you got to look it up, right? Like Josh always says, go to LinkedIn, go to Crunchbase. For me, I wish I would get more, careful with what I get, but I go with my gut. But however, I do use probably the number one tool for all domainers, which is Google, right? You go and see what's going on with those keywords, and yeah, sometimes you put two keywords together and you're in it for the first one. It's like, what's that other one? Why is there some kind of value there? Why did somebody hold that for like 15 years? You're going through the closeouts, you'll see how long it's been there for. And it's like, oh, you go look, and it's like, oh yeah, exactly like you said, it's a word that you didn't expect that actually has value for a lot of places. And a lot of these words, maybe not a little bit less in North America, but it might have value like in Europe and whatever it is, and there's value there, right? And that's the thing. Like I'm going through the closeouts, and look, it's been six weeks. I'm kind of skidding through it. I'm at 370 something domains right now, and it's like in like, what is that, 6 weeks, something like that. And it's like you find stuff all the time, and it's the stuff that other people don't bother to do the research on that you're going to get for super cheap and still flip for like reasonable prices. Stuff that people would pay $400 for at wholesale for a domain to sell for $4,000 that you're going to get at $11 and sell it for $4,000. Right?
Okay,
And that's
hold
the
on,
difference.
Arif. So first of all, I want to say you're my number one tool in domainers. Okay, okay. And then secondly, UFO.
You mean
Thanks
my
for
word tool?
thanks for the disenchantment with us jumping around on all the topics. You act like, yeah, that was it. Okay, so now I want to get to a special guest who joined us, Braden. He had brunch with the artist Moby this morning. Then he went to Equinox and he got his workout in. He's here. I have some questions for him. But Braden, thanks for being here. What's going on?
Sorry, I was just registering centum.com. So
Yeah. Okay. So you'll notice I'm the one that does the
kidding.
jokes here. So, okay. Hey,
You can't.
hey. So one thing. So we were just talking about CDBN, but that's not what I want to ask you about. It's going to be about. So I sent you. We were about ready to get on this topic of what do you look at when you buy a portfolio? And I tell people sometimes, so I sent Braden 1,000 4-letter names at one time, some with like CDBN in them. And I sent it thinking, hey, so here's, I don't know, remember if I sent you an asking price or not, but I wanted to ask you, when someone sends you a portfolio of say 1,000 names, what work do you do, or what data do you want from them? I mean, how do you make the decision on buying portfolios? And tell us, like you told me a little bit about some recent portfolios you picked up.
Well, I mean, I'm looking for the cream, right? The premium names they're in there that's going to pay for the rest of the portfolio. But I just got a portfolio recently that was like 863 names, and I put the whole thing in .db. Actually, I recently did that with the buy domains portfolio, 30,000 names. I put that also in .db, and then I just put it in order of TLDs and started from there. But just number of TLDs registered is not sufficient, right? Because I've talked about this before. Those TLDs could all be owned by one company. They could be all registered to investors and all for sale. So that you have to look a little bit deeper. But that was my starting point, and then after that, I went down the list and I looked at usage. And I put those names into LinkedIn and Crunchbase to see how much usage there was. And then beyond that, I looked at the top half a dozen extensions to see whether or not they were developed or for sale.
Yeah. Well, Josh, you have some
And did
questions,
you?
but he ran me through the ringer. He's like, hey, give me all your past sales for the last 5 years from this area of your portfolio, and also put these heels on and spin around and all sorts of bullshit. Okay, Josh, what question do you have?
Yeah, amazing dexterity and balance that you have, by the way.
I guess my question is, did you buy the portfolio?
I did not.
And why?
There were the two ports. We're not talking about Todd's portfolio, right? We're talking about the
Oh,
others.
I can't imagine anyone would want that.
Exactly right. The 800 names was in a bankruptcy, and I did actually put in an offer, and it's still winding its way through court. And the 30,000 names, that was by domains. So I bought a bunch of them. I think I pulled out like 15 or 20 names.
Hey,
Oh, you did? Did you pull out .nets?
Did yeah.
I knew you would have done. Buy domains. That's the only place that buy domains like has some solid value. They got some decent .nets.
Deep fucking value.
Can
Some
you
deep value.
can you share what about this name? You sold one. I'll say it, and you can say the price if you want to. But you said you sold searchparty.com, not recently. When did you buy that, and how was it sold?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I got to look in front of my computer and look it up. But if I talk about that on Sherpa,
Oh,
I can't
sorry,
talk
sorry.
about
Maybe you
it.
do. Who's on Sherpa this week? Any of you guys?
Yeah, I
Oh,
am.
okay. So maybe you mentioned it. So you are. Who are you on the show with?
I think I'm on with Braden, Amar, and JT.
Okay, it was just Tuesday. I mean, you act like you had a
No,
big
I
life
haven't done
since
it.
then.
I haven't done it yet.
Oh,
Maybe
I
that's
meant
next week.
this Tuesday one. So because one comes out today, right?
Oh, really? I don't know. I don't think I'm on that one. No.
Oh, it was I thought it was every Thursday, but well,
I'm not on
Then
that.
exactly.
okay. So I wanted to ask you, Braden, please. So when we were talking about earlier, because you made a good point, and you said it before publicly, but when it comes to like looking at these .ai or other extensions, well, really even .com, because when it's .com, then you look to see what's the .net for sale, what's the what else is out there. But when you're buying these alternative extensions, how important is it to look at what the .com, where if it's developed, if it's for sale, the price, and so on? I mean, what do you look at when you're looking at? I mean, alternate extensions. What's important data for you to look at before you buy?
Well, preferably I want the .com developed and unavailable, right? Or priced, super high, right? So it's the .com is going to be $2 million, and then I can price this alternative extension for some nominal, like $20,000 or something. The other thing I look at is the other extensions of equal value, to see what the competition is. So, we're looking at Net, Org, Co, IO, AI, right? Right. If that's the alternative to the .com, what's the pricing? And if you've got the AI priced at, sometimes you see like minimum offer $500,000, and the Net and the Org are $6,000. The AI is just not going to sell. So you just look at the pricing, and I would look it up even before I would buy this name to make sure that I can price it competitively, because I don't want to have a .io that I need to price at 35 grand and the .net is $5,000, because I'll never sell the IO because they'll pick up the .net instead.
Why are you letting it get so quiet, Josh? Are you going to Prague? That's next June 9th, June 12th. That's an ICANN meeting. Are you going there, Braden?
Did you just try to say Prague just now?
Prague. I'm sorry, Prague. Prague. Do you know I'm
Oh,
an international traveler? The Hague.
Prague is on my calendar, but I haven't booked it, so I don't really feel like traveling, so I probably will not go.
No way, Braden. Braden, you're gonna
Just
miss a conference, dude.
Braden, how is that possible?
okay. I'm booking now.
Yeah, doesn't like
Hey, are
traveling.
two-word .nets and two-word .ios not a thing anymore?
Not really.
I haven't seen my. I wouldn't invest in them.
Right.
Well, we have a lot of us that are ICA members here today. ICA announced that the tickets for the next ICA meetup is for sale now. The early bird, you save some money. So be sure and check out. You can find the link on our outline, dnx.show. But so NamesCon and ICA meetup, those are two places
Whoa,
people can see
ICA.
you.
I got my ticket.
You did?
I got my ticket and I booked my hotel room.
Did you get one
I'm
of the
set for
Nomad
Wow.
suites?
ICA in January. I'm not
Super
screwing
early
around,
bird.
Josh. I'm
Good
not screwing
boy.
around, man.
Are you coming to Miami too, Mike?
No, just
What?
ICA.
What?
Why?
No.
Why not?
I know.
That
That's
was the whole
crazy,
I don't
Mike.
fun there. So anyway, yeah, so that's easy for you to go to Vegas. But so Braden, people will see you in person if they want to see you in person. For what reason? I don't know. But so you'll be in definitely NamesCon. I see you're going to be on a panel with Mike Mann and probably a few others. I mean, who knows who
Yeah.
else is going
Well,
to show up?
I'll be in Dubai and Oman and Miami, so I'm going to all three. So I'm doing a little circuit.
Excuse us for living. Hey, yeah, you said you
What's
don't
in the
like to
mall?
travel. You're hardly ever home. I go by your house all the time and knock on the door. I realize I get caught inside the gate and it's fun.
Oh, he's home.
Okay, so yeah, I know, no shit. Hey, so who else? I want to ask you why I got you here too, Braden. We're only going to be on for like another 10 minutes, so you made it out alive. Mike Mann, I'm going to get. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask Mike to come on here. I don't know if Josh will, be nice to him. But anyway, so Mike
No,
has
whether
this.
he'll be nice to me more like.
He
Yeah,
blocked
well,
me, so
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
no,
Yeah.
know.
we'll. He know. Mike's cool as ice. He knows this is our show, so we'll, run him. Okay, so Braden, that appraisal service that Mike has, I know you're sort of familiar with it a little bit. Probably helped him out a little bit there. But is that a service? I mean, if you're looking for true appraisals for domain names, and say somebody from outside the space, it's a business that needs an appraisal for whatever reason. I don't know, insurance, or they're looking to buy or looking to sell. What do you know about Mike's appraisal service? Different than all this AI bullshit now.
Yeah, accurate.appraisals.com. It's done by hand, so I'm actually one of the appraisers. And I have since the beginning. It's me, Paige Howe, and Mike. So when someone submits a name, the three of us appraise it, and then the three appraisals are averaged, and then they get a certificate. So it's done by hand by three quote unquote experts.
Yeah. So this Page is prohibited from drinking before he does it. Okay. So it's you three. I mean, you said it before.
Wait, who is it? It's Braden, Mike, and who?
Page.
Paige.
And Paige.
So their experience in the business is unequaled, and also their age together is like 250. Okay.
That's accurate. Yeah.
So, I had tons of topics I like to go over, but there was I got to get to the DNX stuff that Josh was working on, because he's put all these ads and it's spamming all of our Twitter. You can't even go somewhere without these DNX ads. But so Josh, tell us about.
Serious?
They
Is that
look good.
true?
They
That's
really do.
great.
They're awesome ads. But so when did you start doing them, and what's the latest on DNX, and are these ads being effective?
I mean, yeah, we have really good sales. So are they effective? I don't know. I'm using the Twitter ad credit that I got for having that gold check mark on the DNX account, testing that out. Um, and I don't know, like in terms of whether it's converting to more sales, it's difficult to tell. But month over month, we're getting a lot more sales through the platform. I can tell you that since we started in January, we've already done over 1 million now in sales, which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah,
At the very
no
beginning,
complaints.
Braden, at the very beginning of this, Josh was saying he's bearish on some things. He needed to try to, backstep it a little bit. But he's bearish basically if it's not a premium.ai or premium.com. Yeah, he's bearish. Can you believe this? Bearish. He's right on the business that you spend all your time and money. He's saying, be careful. What do you think? Bearish in any sense in this space?
Um, well, I mean, we have to be careful when you go too far out with a long tail name or an alternative TLD that's really far down the like .so or something. There's a lot of competition, and we've got new GTLDs coming out in a few years. So you just got to be careful of all that. I mean, that's why I focus on one word .coms, because it just that's the top, right? That's what everybody wants initially. Whether or not they can afford is another story. And then they go down the line looking for an available TLD for the brand that they want, that they can afford, that fits in their budget. So it just
That's that.
depends on how far down that line you want to go.
That's exactly the point. I think I almost said that word for word, maybe not as eloquently, but it's essentially if you don't have the .com, then you're going for an alternative, and there are so many alternatives now, and a lot of them are a matter of preference. So it's just becoming difficult. It's becoming tougher. There's a lot more options. People are more comfortable with more options. And the reason why I bucketed .ai into a separate category is because it seems somewhat clear to me that at least for the moment there are companies out there where they actually go straight for the .ai. So yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Mike.
they're doing
Hey,
that
Brayton, how
because
bullish
it's
are
it's not it's also not .com, so it's gonna be a lot cheaper, right? And they're an AI company, and they want to tell the world they're an AI company, but .ai is still a bubble. It's a big bubble, and it's probably gonna last a while. But at some point, every company is going to be using AI, and they're not going to be, or everything's going to be,
Yeah, I agree.
in
Makes even more
OpenAI
sense to use a .ai then.
at the
No,
moment.
at the
Only at the
moment,
moment.
yeah.
At the moment, for
But
the next 20 years,
at
30
the moment?
years, and are we going to be around for that? I mean, I think it's going
no,
to stay strong.
No,
I
it's not gonna
disagree.
last. It's not gonna last that long. It's you know, things move quickly with especially with like branding preferences, and like we've seen it so often in the domain world. And yeah, .ai is slightly different. I'm not even sure if it's different. Bigger. It's bigger, but it's not necessarily different. So
Well, I don't know. Hold on. I don't know if Josh virtually said the same thing as you, Braden. He's just bullshitting there. Okay, but he did similar. But and also the .ai, I'm almost going with
wait. I
Fabian.
don't know if you don't know if I virtually said the same thing as
Well,
him, but it was similar.
you said no. It was sort of. I mean, I can't even remember. We are going to walk down memory lane here in just a second. I wanted to say Fabian. I'm with Fabian a little bit. People are tired of the .com, meaning I think the .ai. We're at big bubble, just getting bigger and bigger. .com had a big bubble, before, but anyway, I think people are just flat out saying there must be alternatives to .com. .ai is broken through, and I think there's going to be room for others. Uh, Well, Mike, you had a comment. I wanted to ask Braden about your names real fast, which order he would put them in. But Mike, what comment did you want to make first?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if Braden is bullish or bearish on Braden.eth. I see that you have your ETH name in your X profile, and you refuse to give it up. So I want to know why you refuse to give it up.
He dates
And you're
younger.
bullish
Go
or bearish.
ahead.
Bearish.
That's funny.
It was
Bro,
a
then why do you
flex.
still have it?
Yeah, because who gives a shit?
Because I helped
Those
you get
don't
it, right,
resolve.
Braden?
You are
Did
telling
those
the
not resolve?
world. You are telling the world that you believe in ETH.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm telling all of you right now, I don't. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna get crushed. It's
Wait,
going away.
he says something different to the women under 30. They go, "Hey, are you Braden.eth?" Yeah, I'm pretty cool. These are expensive sunglasses. Hey, Braden. So Mike was asking us earlier. Pyramid. He's basically throwing his bullshit around. His three best names. Okay, so and what you can do is you can match him. If we were playing war, so I'm going to ask you two questions. How would you rate his three best names in order? Pyramid, Brew, and Dragonfly. And then what three names in your portfolio would you compare to his to sort of, I don't know, like Euchre, to trump him out?
I think his best name is well, Pyramid's garbage, and he should probably just let me have it for a couple $100,000 just to help him out. So Pyramid, Dragonfly, and then Brew in that order.
Yeah, I said Pyramid too, and they're like Dragonfly. They're all over Dragonfly. But okay, so anyway, what are three of your top names that could smolder his, like put a cigarette in an ashtray? What could you match up against his three?
Well, look, they're all snowflakes, right? Um,
No, no,
so
you will
they're-
be if you don't answer.
um, I've got some good ones. I've got iconic.com. I've got I recently bought treasure.com and rainbow.com. Those are all pretty good.
Yeah, Rainbow's pretty slick. I mean, is that with the W? Just kidding. Okay, so Mike, what do you think? Braden says Pyramid. You're yelling Dragonfly. Does sway your opinion a little?
Well, I'm not yelling Dragonfly. I think that Dragonfly has shown the most promise by the outbound marketing that the Hilco team has done. And it is counter to what I think a lot of people believe, whatever they believe, like, oh, it's got to be shorter or it's got to have this or that. And I'm just citing like the most interest has come from Dragonfly.
Are we talking about most interest or most value?
Well, the most interest is what I said earlier. The most value, I think, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I think Dragonfly probably is the most valuable. I do have it priced the highest.
Really? You have it priced higher than Pyramid, huh?
Yeah.
Huh,
Well,
that's
it's based on
interesting.
your boy's conversation, Andrew over there. We discussed all three and valued them in comparison, and it made sense at the time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I've probably gotten the most inquiries on pineapple.com, but I don't know that it's necessarily the highest value. It's probably close.
Yeah, inbound inquiries on Pineapple versus outbound to the highest and best use case buyers for Dragonfly are slightly different.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know if we're talking about apples to apples, right? Because you've got number of companies that are using Dragonfly and who might be interested in it versus how many companies are using Pyramid and who can afford to purchase that, right? I mean, that's the thing about
Right.
them being snowflakes.
Well, that was a great show. We're done for today, and I'm going to be wrapping it up by saying this. Geez, Braden, you got these guys all questioning themselves now. I say something, it rolls off their back. They don't. You say they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I was talking about value or interest or hold on. I mean, let me go walk my dog. That's what Mike was saying. So Mike, yeah, pyramid is big and bad. It's big, it's bad. I mean, but the guy owns them all. So yeah, good luck to both of you guys. I suspect, big news, big sales, because like Josh said, it's and I said this before, the top stuff, the good stuff, that's the last to get hurt. It's the first to go up. Okay. And that's the type of names that we're talking about, pyramid and pineapple. You see how Braden throws in a few others. This one, but this one. Okay.
Oh, he's the OG.
Yeah.
And the only person getting the big sales right now appears to be Braden. So, I would defer to him.
Yeah.
And Josh.
And Josh.
Yeah, Josh too. Hey, Josh, thanks for everything. You always co-hosting. Next time we're going to be here at 9:59 my time. It's going to be 12:59. We're going to be on time next week. We appreciate everybody being here. This is the DNX Show, so check us out on X, so you can see when we post for the shows. But thanks for joining. We're here every Thursday.
Todd, you guys are great. You need to check up the price on Dog.tv though. That's a great name.
Yeah, and you know what?
DAWG.
Yeah, DAWG.tv. I'm selling it, but
Nostalgic,
also,
man.
never
Somebody
Thank you. Still, even if you're helping me, I didn't never chime in at the end like that again. Just all right, just joking, but
I
that's
got
it.
you, Todd.
Josh, we'll see everybody next week.
See you guys.